Several weeks ago, you received a visit from a richly dressed messenger. He brought you a perfumed invitation to a sumptuous dinner at the mains of Lord Claudius Giovanni. The Giovanni are a wealthy Italian trading family, and they're as feared as they are respected. Such an invitation is an honor, and one not lightly turned down, even if it's from one of the mysterious and distrusted, such as Lord Giovanni. You get to decide whether your character reacted with shock, gratitude, or terror, but your character chose to go. Those from the lower social orders may conceivably be terrified at the prospect of being called upon to dine with the great and powerful, and may aspire to nothing more than get out with their heads intact. When an ornate carriage arrived for you, you packed your possessions, anything from your tunic without the holes in it to a trunk full of brocaded silks, said farewell to your bewildered friends and family, furiously jealous husbands and suspicious abbots, and set off for what may likely be the longest trip that you have ever taken into the dark wilds of the Carpathian woods. After a fortnight of jarring travel, through rough roads, mud, and pouring rain, you arrive late at night at the Red Lamb, a cozy inn where most of the travelers are also on the road to the Giovanni Mains. The dinner at the Mains is to be held the following evening, and you are to stay at the inn for the night. And that's how the game begins. So you all have been on the road, traveling, rough country, through the woods, wolves chasing down the carriages. You're most likely all in carriages by yourself. You and whatever items you decided to bring with you, fancier clothes, if you have any products that you want to show off to the Lord Giovanni to see if he can possibly invest in your endeavors. But in the middle of the woods, it's a quaint yet sizable. It's built well inn called the Red Lamb Inn. And as each of you enter, we'll just go ahead and have the three of you be the final people who have shown up. You are announced as you walk in. So, as you walk in, and you're in this sizable dining area with a small room with a fireplace off to the side, a bar area that has a large, jovial, kind innkeeper and a couple of servants wandering around, passing out bowls of stew to people who are already sitting around. What exactly would be the announcement as you walk in? And we can start with Jen.
I think the announcement would just be Miss Aisha. She doesn't have a last name. And you would see a petite woman, quite youthful, probably in her early 20s. She has some freckles and some hazel eyes with flecks of green. Anyone with a keen eye can see that she is very nervous about being here, but she's doing her best to keep her chin up and look as confident as possible as she enters.
Okay. Fangs?
He would be announced as Andras Morsinai, a traveling merchant looking to hawk his wares to those of the curious nature. He dresses in some finery, though it looks more travel-worn. He has long, black, flowing hair with piercing blue eyes and an insidious smile. And he walks with an elegance.
And Silent?
So you would be announced as Desmond Blackwood, a reputable blacksmith, and you would see that he is approximately, like, he's pretty tall for the time period. He's pushing on 6 foot. He's probably every bit of 280 pounds, maybe even heavier. He's a very well-fed individual, but also you can see kind of through the thin. He is wearing what would be considered, I guess, among his class as his nice linens. And you can tell that his hands are very weathered. He is a very his hands are very calloused. His skin is very weathered, and he has his kind of shaggy, shoulder-length black hair pulled back into kind of like I think it's called a wolf's tail, like something similar to like Geralt of Rivia might have. And he has this just massive unkempt black beard that just kind of sticks out and as he moves his head, it just turns with his chin. And yeah, he would approach with a very gruff, and you can definitely see he's sweating. Whether that's nerves or just he's unfit, he does come in with 2 other young men dressed in similar attire, and they are carrying a large, heavy chest that clangs to the floor whenever they set it down. He kind of looks at them whenever they drop it a little too hard and utters profanity under his breath at them for scuffing the floor. But that's Desmond.
All right. The room that you all enter, as I said, it has a roaring hearth fire that's banishing the night's chill. But it also projects these very uneasy shadows for the time being. This area is lit very sparsely, primarily by that fire and a few candles that are just sitting around on tables. Aside from you, there are several other in this room. There's the innkeeper, as I said, and a few of his servants, but there's also a young soldier who's sitting at a table by himself with his legs stretched out in a very imposing fashion. He doesn't look like he's trying to be rude. He looks like he's physically unable to move it the way that he would need to not block the way. There's also a very rough and tumble looking monk that's in the inn as well, whose large wild hair kind of going in all directions, and he's wearing a very threadbare robe and a very large, looks to be the only thing that's worth anything on him at all, a large silver cross that's hanging around that's just loosely tied off with a leather strap. Also, towards the fire is someone else who's sitting kind of bundled up, wrapped in a blanket, with a small cup sitting off the table. You really can't make any details of this person, but they're sitting just out of the firelight. The night that this is all taking place on is April 3rd. Your invitations are set for the next night, and you are said to be spending the night here, and then carriages will come and pick you up tomorrow. As sizable as the inn is, there are 10 other guests, men and women, who are separated by status. If you look at them, you can tell some are well-dressed, some not so much. Some of them are trying their best. And each of them are all sitting with a tankard in front of them and a sizable wood bowl as they're slurping up their stew in the night. And the 3 of you have free reign to do as you wish.
I'm going to approach the more well-established looking individuals.
All right.
Hail!
They're going to
Are
look
you
up at
in need
you. Sorry.
Are you in need of company?
You said you're dressed well, correct?
Yeah.
They're going to look at you, and they're going to look at you up and down, as if they're appraising you. How do you hold yourself as a nobleman, as a salesperson? How do you handle yourself?
Probably as a nobleman. The Morrison I family was married into the Hunyadi family, so I do have some nobility in my blood. But distant as it is, I do carry myself with a hang of elegance.
How do you think that compares, your history, how do you think that compares to your lifestyle?
Well, the noble lifestyle obviously probably be a lot more comfortable. Traveling merchantry is definitely not as, for the soft hand as you would think. So he's probably got a little bit of roughness to him. He's not quite as, I guess, hoity-toity as nobles would probably be.
Okay.
Kind of like a mix, I guess.
I think this is going to lead. I think this is going to lead us to our first roll of the night. What I'm thinking that you should probably do, Fangs, would be charisma plus subterfuge.
Charisma plus subterfuge. All right.
3 successes, though. That's very nice. One of the more jovial. That's probably the best word for it. Of those people who are sitting there, we're going to go ahead and say that there's a couple of men sitting at one table who are eating, joking, laughing, and wearing finery that they are just getting stew all over their clothes. And then off to the side, there's another table with a few women who are eating a lot more respectfully of what they are wearing. But one of those men is going to just use his foot and kick a chair out for you, and he's just, you can join us. You can join us. We'd love to hear where you come from. A little bit of word from around the world would be nice.
Very well. I shall join you. Would you be interested in potentially perusing some of the wares that I have? I come from quite a few places, traveling.
They look at you and they're slightly interested. I think they might be interested in seeing what you have to show.
Okay. I pull out like a small little effigy of like almost like a wooden card figurine of some sort of deity from a far off religion, probably an Eastern religion of some sort. And I put it down on the table to show them. This right here is a carving that holds great spiritual power. It will give you great vigor.
The attention that you're getting for what you're showing here is going to be taken right out as soon as the monk who's on the other side of the room and listening to everything that you say slaps the table as hard as he can with his massive sausage fingered hand and just spits on the ground and starts going off about how this is blasphemous and you shouldn't be doing that here.
Oh my, it is quite all right. It is but a wooden figurine.
How about the other? How about you other two, Silent and Djinn? How are you coming into this?
I think Desmond is. I would say he probably ushers the 2 young boys that he has with him. Probably both of them around the age of 14 and 15.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably ushers them to a table off somewhere in the side, like to the side or in a corner somewhere.
Okay.
and just sets and kind of stays to himself, because he doesn't really know anybody here, and he doesn't want to blow any chances that he has of accomplishing what it is that he came for. So he's just going to do his best to avoid offending someone.
Okay. I do have a question for you with Desmond. How far and wide do you think his wares are used?
So I was thinking he is probably not that well known. He does have some like kind of mercantile relationships, but they don't stretch very far from the kind of region that I assume that he comes from.
Okay.
Which I wasn't really sure where the story was going to be set, so I didn't really know where to put that. So, if you want to throw me a suggestion, I would be more than open to it.
Pretty much anywhere that is like northern Italy, Switzerland, Austria, Hungary, around those areas would be probably a good place for you to go, because you would have had to travel pretty far to get here.
Yeah. Then let's say, like outside of the region that he's from in, let's say Austria.
Austria?
Mhm.
Okay. While you're sitting down and getting your apprentices to put down your trunks, settle down, try to stay out of the way, can I get a wits and awareness from you while you're getting them settled?
I can
The
certainly
infamous
try.
Tony roll.
The infamous Tony roll, yes. We do a lot of wits and awareness here. I like you guys noticing things.
I can absolutely try. 2 successes.
2 successes. I'm just going to go ahead and say that that soldier who's sitting off to the side by himself, who has the outstretched leg, the spear that he has that's leaning against the table, it looks familiar to you. The workmanship is fairly similar to something that you've done yourself.
Okay. Seeing that, he's gonna tell his apprentices, "Get your food, drink, stay out of the way." And he's gonna walk over and just kind of stand before the soldier, but not sure if he should address him directly, but he's going to kind of walk that way, and as if he intends to have conversation.
Okay. The soldier is young when you see him. He looks like he's maybe in his early 20s.
Okay.
And the closer you get, you can tell his leg has just been completely mangled. But he's doing his best to at least seem presentable. And when you approach him, he looks up to you and, "Evening."
Good evening.
He tries his damnedest to stand up, but he has trouble doing it.
He just raises the hand like, "Don't bother," and then he sits down across from him.
Yeah, a look of massive relief on this kid's face as he settles back into his chair. How can I help you, sir?
His eyes kind of linger over to the spear. Mind if I take a look at that?
Not at all, sir. He hands it over to you.
I'll give it a very close examination.
It has seen a lot of combat to the point where it's quite scratched up, but you can actually see where your mark is on this. This is something that you made.
I imagine this is something that he's made, like some of his earlier work, maybe after getting out on his own.
Yeah, it's probably several years old.
Okay. I thought I recognized this.
Oh?
He'll turn the kind of spear and point to the mark, rub his thumb over it to kind of take off any of the kind of tarnish that may be there.
Yeah. Did you make this?
Some of my earlier work, but yeah.
Well, then I owe you my life. I wouldn't be alive right now if it wasn't for this.
Do tell.
I've been off. I've been off fighting, and well, I'm not really the best for combat anymore, but I definitely would not have gotten out of this if it wasn't for the fact that just holding this spear and having it be able to keep those who would harm me off of me. My name's Paul, by the way, and he puts his hand out as for greeting.
Desmond. I'll shake.
It's very nice to meet you, Desmond.
Looking over the table, kind of at his leg. Is it just stuck straight out, swollen, and mangled, or
this looks like an older wound? He's got it covered up as much as he can, but it does kind of like bend in a way that it quite shouldn't.
Okay.
So it is quite obviously damaged, probably beyond repair for his, for his station. But it's not like it's not like a huge mess or anything. It's just not shaped quite right.
Right. How do you get around like that?
Slowly, sir. Actually, I'm not quite. I'm not quite doing right as far as I could be. I hate to be so forward. Are you going to Lord Giovanni's for this party he's having?
Yep.
I'm sorry to be so brazen, especially for somebody who's already saved my life once before, but do you think you might put in a good word for me with Lord Giovanni? He's hiring many soldiers for his personal security, and I can't march anymore, and I don't really know how to farm, and I have no trade to speak of, but I could guard a tower.
He kind of takes his big sausage fingers and kind of rubs his face like, I don't have to, and then kind of strokes his beard like, Where'd you fight for? Who'd you serve?
He'll name off some general you've probably never heard of, but he will go on with details about how he was fighting against the Turks.
I'm trying to think kind of here about something. Would Desmond feel like if he were to spend the evening tinkering, that he would maybe be able to make kind of like a rudimentary brace for this guy's leg? I forget what they're called, like the really old, like what are they called when they take two sticks down the side but something along the lines of like a splint.
A splint?
Yeah, if you were to take a piece of.
I mean, you probably very well could, but you're going to have to re-break his leg to do it.
What about something that would just help him with maybe the balance or you know what? He just says, stand up.
He looks at you with kind of shocked eyes for a second, but then
go on, boy, stand up.
Instantly going into soldier mode, he uses. Did you give him back the spear?
No.
No? Okay. He tries to use the table to put his weight on it as much as possible. I'm going to see how this goes out real quick with a roll. Oh, well, yeah, no, he puts all of his strength into it and pushes himself up, and he's standing fairly up straight as he gets up there.
Is he balancing with the table, however?
As soon as he gets stood up, he takes his hand off of it and he's balancing on his own.
Okay.
He does look like he's struggling, but he is doing it.
I'm gonna pick the spear up off the table and take a step back. Come get your spear.
Oh god. The look on his face of like terror and embarrassment, but we're gonna go ahead and try to. This is punishment for me for all the rolls that I do for you, isn't it?
No.
Okay.
he has a reason for doing it.
He is gonna be able to make it to you, but not very well. He does kind of hobble over. He makes the few steps, and you could tell it was very difficult for him.
Okay. The whole time he's trying to do all of this, Desmond is just watching him, watching his leg, watching how his weight balances and shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And he is attempting to, in his mind, he's just kind of lost in thought while he's doing this.
With the way that he's walking, and also the condition that the spear's in, you can tell he's been using the spear as a crutch.
Yeah. He'll hand the spear back to him. Good lad. Let me help you back to your seat.
Yeah, in pain, he says, "Thank you, sir," and he accepts your help back to the seat.
Let me think. I have an idea. If he kind of looks at the spear. You've trusted your life into my hands once. Would you be willing to do it again?
Yes, sir.
He kind of like sniffs real loud. I need a drink. He's gonna get up and find his little drink.
Okay. All right, and Djinn?
I think Aisha will try to find the table with the lower classes and just sort of blend in as best she can. I didn't see what she's wearing. She'll be dressed in, well, poor clothing, but they're very clean, and her hair is very neat and tidy. And she stood up very straight, like proper. But yeah, you can tell that she doesn't come from wealth, we'll say.
Mm. There are, we'll go ahead and say, 3 others who don't, there's 3 other women who don't look like they come from the best parts, but they're trying their best to have cleaned up for this whole thing. They're road dusty. Most of these people are who are in here, but there's some of them who look like their hands and their face are clean, but you can kind of see that like ring of dirt around the wrists and around the neck where they basically went, well, the hands and the face will be seen, the rest can be fine, and just ignore that. They have probably already quite greedily eaten up all the stew that has been given to them, and are now like sopping up whatever like gravies are left using like day-old stale bread, trying to get their fill as much as possible. And they're very quiet, and they're trying very hard not to watch the spectacle that's happening around them of both the angry monk who's on the other side of the room screaming about blasphemy and this poor, injured, yet also very handsome young man who's basically being, like, from what it looks like, forced to, like, hobble across the restaurant or across the inn's floor. But you're very welcome to join them. They're very kind. They're very polite. They don't say much, but they are they're very welcoming, if anything.
Okay. Yeah, I think she'll take a seat, and after a bit of sort of awkward silence as she sees that they're kind of looking around as much as she is, she'll say in like a whispered tone, so you've never eaten with nobility before?
Two of them kind of just keep their eyes down at the table, put a little bit of food in their mouth, and they're just shaking their head no. But one of them, who very long, pretty hair. It's not kept back like the other two. It's not hidden under any kind of scarf or bonnet or anything like that. And you will realize as soon as they speak up that although he is sitting with the women, he is a man. And
Okay.
he's a very pretty man. He has some masculine features, but he's very angular. He's very thin. But he also holds himself up like he's just like a roguish figure. He's road dusty like the rest of them, but he doesn't look like he's tried that hard to cover it up. Which
Okay.
is one of the reasons why he's fitting in so well, is because some of his more masculine features are being hidden by the fact that he's not. And he's also wearing breeches, unlike the other two. You just wouldn't be able to see that because they're under the table.
Okay.
And he leans forward with his chin cradled on his like he's got his fingers kind of cradled under his chin, and he looks up at you with like the most almost unnaturally blue eyes and just stares at you and just goes, "I've eaten with all manner of people."
Well, good for you. Do you have a title? How should I address you?
Do I have a title? Let's see. No. Gustav. Gustav, you can call me Gustav. It's fine.
Good to meet you, Gustav.
good to
I'm
meet you.
Aisha.
He puts his hand out as if he's going to take yours.
Yeah, she'll
And-
put her hand out as well.
And I want to say politely, but also roughly, he like yanks your hand forward to the point where you're going to end up stumbling over the table just a small amount. You
Okay.
definitely can fight against this if you want to. But yeah, he's going to pull your hand forward and he's going to kiss you. He's going to kiss your hand.
Okay. I don't think she fights it, but she's definitely taken aback. That's clearly written all over her face. And I think she's kind of like awkwardly laughs a little bit as she attempts to take her hand back.
Yeah, the other two women also giggle, like, a lot. And the other tables are starting to make, like, scoffing sounds about how inappropriate he's being.
I think she'll just like clear her throat and sit down and make herself look a little bit small. She'll address the ladies, kind of trying to avoid eye contact with him.
Uh-huh.
But she'll say, I can teach you how to eat a little better. At least look like you belong here.
He does not care that you're not talking to him. And he's like, tell us about yourself.
What would you like to know?
Where are you from? Where are you going?
I'm from all over, and I'm here to eat with Mr. Giovanni, as we all are.
He leans back in the chair and he swings his legs up onto the chair with this big, just bang as his heels hit the table, and some of the wooden flatware just kind of rolls around on the table a little bit. His mud-covered boots are just leaving this god-awful mess everywhere. And from out of nowhere, he just produces an apple and a knife and starts slicing pieces off as he's talking with his mouth full. And he's like, I love traveling. Tell me exactly where you've been, what you've done, who you've worked for, and what you feel you've gained from it.
I think because he doesn't have a title, she's feeling a little bit brave.
Uh-huh.
So she's gonna cut her eye at him and just like watch him as he cuts this apple and just looks at her.
Yeah, there's like apple juice dribbling down his face. This guy is completely just not a polite person.
She rolls her eyes a little and just says, well, as I said, I've been all over. I've worked as a servant, I've worked as a maid, as a lady's maid, and I haven't eaten with nobility, but I've watched them. And she kind of like looks over towards the table of ladies who are near where the other two are sat.
as this is all happening, a couple of the servants, they're two young barmaids. They probably can't be any older than 14. Are coming out with a couple of extra glasses for the 3 newcomers, and a few pitchers to refill, and to fill up yours. And as he's listening to you talk, his eyes are just following the young girls.
Okay. I'm gonna keep an eye on this guy. But yeah, I think as the other 2 ladies are kind of eating, she will kind of politely tell them to like sit with like their backs straight, like keep their elbows off the table, just have like some table manners, and she'll start to eat herself as well.
One of the other girls, she's probably in her late teens. Trying to think. She's very slim, but she's very pretty, with bright red hair, brown eyes. She looks over towards you, speaking under, so most of the other people who are here can't hear her, but she'll introduce herself as Mariana.
Okay. Yeah, she'll introduce herself as Aisha. And she'll just say, "Your hair is beautiful. I don't see red hair around here much."
She it is kept back, like under a kerchief, kind of, just, but you just can't hide the coloring. She blushes a little bit when you compliment her hair.
I can braid it for you before we go tomorrow, if you like.
She, smiles a little bit, and that would be very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, she'll smile at her. I think she just continues to eat and just cringes a little when she hears the soldier stand up and start to walk on that gammy leg.
Yeah, there's really like very awkward, like thump drag. So after a little while of the interactions that are happening between yourself and the other guests, the innkeeper is going to be coming out. Like I said, he's a larger man. He looks pretty well fed. He's older. He's got a very prominent mustache that he tries his damnedest to keep curled up. However, it does not work for him, and they tend to curl down. And he'll bring out food. And I just want to beg your pardon, beg forgiveness for how simple this food is, but it's not going to be like anything that you lucky devils are going to be having tomorrow night. But it should keep you all full. And he's going to put down a couple of bowls in front of you all of this like thick, nondescript mass of food that you can tell has some vegetables in it, has some meat in it, and yeah, he hands out the food and asks you all if you had a pleasant trip.
As pleasant as traveling can be.
Yeah, at least you're going out. At least you're going up to Giovanni's place. It should be a rather interesting occasion.
Yes, would you mind giving me a little bit more detail as to what this place looks like? What is to be expected?
He goes to talk, and you can hear that monk in the background just hawk one up and spit on the floor. And the innkeeper just kind of turns, angry look over his shoulder at him, and then goes back. He's like, you should be looking forward to some finery. That's what I can give you.
I see. Very well. I take it you don't have much of an opportunity to go up there yourself.
He kind of looks a little nervous at that question. And no, little bit busy, little bit busy here. We have a lot of traffic considering where we are and stuff. Yes.
I see. Priest man, you seem to have quite the opinion. Why don't you tell me what to expect in this mansion?
He hefts himself out of his chair. He's a middle-aged guy, like I said, wild hair, rough robes, and he'll walk up to. He's gonna walk up into the middle of the tables and just be like, "You best be listening to me. That man up there, he's evil, and he's going to do but nothing but bring ill will to all of us. And you going up there, it's you're just gonna have dinner with the devil himself."
Some say that the world is already the devil's playground. What makes his mansion so different? Huh?
Tomorrow, you're going to enter the abode of evil, and you should shun it, reject it, cast it out, and go ye not. Claudius Giovanni, and he spits on the ground again, is the devil incarnate. And you are not going to have anything but a cursed life if you go up there. The innkeeper at this point is just going to be like, you are either going to have to shut your gob or get out. And the monk is going to shuffle himself back over to his table.
Desmond will, like, one hand full of, like, just a big piece of roast or meat, and another hand on his goblet goes, well, I guess it's a good thing I came armed. And he just kind of laughs like he's trying to lighten the mood in the room. But he's not doing a very good job of it.
Yeah, there's a couple of the more well-to-do people that are going to laugh at that. The more downtrodden might, like, just cast their eyes down and make the sign of the cross.
Ah, yes. Tools of murder. Quite valuable.
Did you say tools of murder?
I think that's
Of
what
course.
he said.
What
is a sword?
What's
What
the
is a
cutlery
sword?
here like?
The cutlery?
Yeah.
Like, just carved out of wood. Maybe
Okay.
some, like, really cheap, like, iron here and there.
Okay.
Maybe a couple of the tables have some. Like, the more well-to-do have some actual, like, smithed items. The other ones are just, like, crudely carved out of wood.
Okay. You can call them tools of murder, means of self-defense. My guess is you probably don't roam the countrysides in your fancy little clothes and your fancy little carriage without somebody who knows how to use one of these tools of murder.
You would be correct. I would be a fool as a traveling merchant if I were not to protect myself from the tides of brigands and thieves. Know that I do not mean any disrespect for the art that you perform. But a sword is nothing but a tool used to take a life. And that is a truth you cannot escape.
He takes a big bite out of the hunk of meat that he's eating, washes it back with a big swig out of his tankard, kind of nods.
While they're having this conversation, can I actually try to discern what kind of wares that both of them have on their person?
Sure. Is anybody hiding what they have, first off?
No.
Oh,
Nope. Okay, then this is just going to be a simple... I'll let you choose either wits or intelligence, since you're so traveled. But it'll be either wits or intelligence plus investigation.
Okay. I'll go with wits. That's 2 successes.
Yep, 2 successes. I would say that Desmond's items are fairly straight, simple. Am I correct in saying that, Silent?
Oh, absolutely.
What kind of stuff would you have on you?
On his person, he's wearing, so like I said, he's just kind of wearing a white linen kind of loose-fitted, I guess, shirt. Some thick kind of, I don't know what the material is. Not burlap, but it's like burlap.
Yeah, but
Kind of pant.
your blacksmith stuff. Like, what would you have with that? Like your
Like
wares?
on his person,
Yeah.
he would just have. You would see the sword that he would carry at his side, and then a dagger on the opposite side of the leather belt that he carries those on. I believe that would be all the weapons he would carry on him on his
Okay.
person at the moment.
That's what you were asking for, like right? Jin is the stuff that he has for sale, like his wares.
Yeah, or anything valuable that's on show.
Oh, okay.
He would also have a silver chain necklace, like
Okay.
a actual nice jewelry, like some kind of piece of jewelry, but it falls down behind the collar of his shirt. It doesn't really. It's not like he's not wearing it to show it off.
Okay. So then there's that, and then there's the very large chest that you had your apprentices carry in.
Yeah.
Okay. As for the other one, what Fangs? What kind of merchandise do you have on you?
I
That's
have
visible, I guess.
I have a lot of it's probably not visible. What I probably have is leather pouches full of different like incenses, alchemical ingredients of sorts. Very simple, rudimentary things. Some wood carven effigies, maybe some strewn together strawed effigies. One of the most noticeable things he has on him is this kind of tarnished, like gold chain, bejeweled, like necklace that kind of goes down to his mid torso that wraps up. And that is underneath his traveler's cloak, so it's not like readily visible, but if you look for it, you can see it. So he kind of probably has a good smell about him with all the different incenses and things.
That's actually a pretty interesting thought. Is in the Dark Ages the guy who smells like heavily of incense and things like that is that could come in. That would definitely draw attention.
Yeah.
I smell good.
All right. Were you looking for anything in particular?
I think I'm just looking for anything that if a heated conversation were to start or something that could be relatively easy to take.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there's going to be plenty of things around you. There is one person who is sitting off, not alone. There's probably like he's kind of midway between the peasants and the nobles. But he has a lot of large rolled canvases that that are taking up a chair that are sitting next to him. And I think everybody has like a little bit of something that could easily be grabbed. It looks like most people just kind of decided that they were going to come in, throw their stuff down, and get to dinner, due to how late it is when people arrive.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Did you have a point you were trying to make about swords being tools for murder?
No, not particularly. I was just speaking my thoughts openly.
Okay. Well, just to state the obvious, it felt like you were attempting to make a point.
I apologize. Sometimes my demeanor can come off as that way.
That's all right.
But on another point, how is it making weapons for a living?
He
You
kind
make
of.
good money?
I make well enough.
Do you
Don't
do
need
more
so
than
much.
weapons? Do you make cutlery? Do you make horseshoes? Other things?
He nods. If it can be forged, I'm not above making it. I typically focus on weapons and arms, and armor and such. But
What is your favorite weapon to craft?
the sword.
What about it makes it your favorite?
The process and the end result.
Yes. Sword must be molded and tempered, correct?
And balanced.
What is it of the sword's construction do you take the most care?
He actually thinks pretty long about that for a moment.
Is it the sharpening of the blade, so it is to cut flesh with ease? Is it the balance, so that the warrior may hold it and not feel encumbered? Is it the construction of the handle so that the grip feels natural? Or is it the shape of the overall blade, so is it to be aesthetically pleasing?
I would say they're all my favorite. They're all important. They're all vital. I spend the most time on the blade as it's the primary purpose of the weapon, but I would say I take the most care in the handle so that it feels natural to hold.
So
That
you
may
take
serve
the
the
most
purpose.
care in the one aspect of the weapon in which it connects with its user most intimately.
Otherwise, you swing a sword with a handle that's not fitted properly, not crafted properly, and you're going to hurt yourself and likely die in the process.
Very
If you
good.
can't wield a weapon properly, then it's not really a useful weapon, is it?
You are correct. The mark of a true craftsman. I like you.
He just kind of raises his mug.
I raise my mug in turn.
Well, other than upsetting priests and peddling wooden statues,
Effigies. But yeah, they're statues.
what else do you do?
Oh, I mostly just travel, trying to find curiosities, bubbles, and mysteries of the world.
What's your favorite mystery that you've solved or discovered?
I don't think I can say, because if it is solved, it is no longer a mystery. But one of the biggest mysteries that I wish to know is what is truly out there? What is life? What is its meaning? Someone called this thought blasphemous, as life should be paid to the Lord. But what is he? Who is he? Who is he really? But I get ahead of myself.
If I was to hedge my bets, the one who could probably tell you would be the one you've offended most out of this party.
I would ask him for a deeper conversation, but I'd be afraid he'd hawk spit in my foot. He seems to enjoy doing that.
Desmond's gonna glare down the table at the priest.
He's
For
just
the monk.
he's sitting there with like a carved wooden cane, leaning on it and just kind of observing the entire room. He's not paying attention to your conversation. He's just like eyeing everybody who's here.
Okay.
To be frank, I feel quite bad for the old man. He seems to have let his faith paralyze him in fear, as opposed to leading him to salvation, as it were.
Desmond just kind of nods, like you are on a different level of thought than he ever considered being. Like you get the feeling, and he's not hiding it very well, that everything that you're saying is very beyond him. Like he doesn't seem to have put a lot of thought into the things you're bringing up.
But the night grows long, and we are all weary, yes? Perhaps we should just enjoy ourselves a nice stew and a good drink. Or if what the priest says to be true, tomorrow we shall see untold horrors.
There's actually some laughter that comes from your table.
Best we say our prayers and get to know the Lord before we sleep.
Indeed. Lord, please protect us from all things evil and dangerous and all things bad that is upon the hill of Clan Giovanni, or Mansion Giovanni.
The monk in the corner, you can actually hear him start to go, "Amen!" But then as soon as you says Giovanni, he spits on the floor again.
Someone get him a bowl.
Djinn, how is your character reacting to this open conversation?
I think she's just watching on, but definitely laughing and trying to be subtle about it, like stifling smiles.
Oh. As a matter of fact, I will purchase a round for all who are here.
There's a roarous up-cheering happening as soon as you say that. Everybody likes free drinks.
Absolutely. Desmond joins in the
A drink
celebration.
for all. Even the curmudgeon priest. He could use a little bit of loosening up.
Can I get everyone to roll a wits and awareness while the servants are handing out the drinks? Djinn, your character is going to be the only one who actually picks up when the servers are walking around handing out the drinks. The old lady who's sitting in the corner just out of the firelight, like she's still enveloped in shadow, she just waves hers off. She doesn't take any. You can tell it's an old woman when she waves off because her hand would be visible at least.
Okay. Her eyes will linger on her a little. Is there anything odd about her? Has she interacted with anybody, or is she sat by herself?
She has not interacted with anybody. She is just sitting at a table just out of the flickering firelight. There is a small cup that doesn't look like it belongs to the inn. Like it's a small tin cup that's just sitting on her table.
Okay. I think she'll definitely straighten up just in case she is watching. But yeah, she'll just keep an eye on her, I think.
Okay. So everybody seems to be enjoying themselves at this point, except for the man, the monk, who everyone will eventually learn his name is Brother Clement. And he is going to just, at one point in time, get up, and he's not getting enough attention, so he just huffs out of the inn and walks out into the night. There's a slight applaud after the door closed. He's just there ruining everybody's good time.
Well, he could have joined in.
After a little while of conversation and learning where everybody's coming from, there's some people who are coming from pretty far away places. This spot in particular, as far away as you may have all come from, is in the north eastern portion of Romania. And you're hearing tales from people who came as far away as Greece, Czechia, Austria, Munich. Like it's people have just come from everywhere to try and appeal to Claudius Giovanni's generosity. But as everyone is getting to the point where food is being finished, dishes are being picked up, and everybody's still just sitting and enjoying themselves in good conversation, the door is going to open up. And four people are going to end up walking in. One is a very well-to-do... They're actually all pretty well-dressed. It's just three of them are dressed as high-class servants. The one who comes in first is slightly built, well-dressed man he has very heavy aristocratic features, except for the fact that he has a very deep scar that runs down the right side of his face from his hairline all the way down to his chin. Another one is wearing the leathers of a coachman, and the other two that come in with them are just pikemen. They're guards. They're all wearing the crests of the Giovanni family, which is a very large filigreed letter G on the front of their clothing. The man with the scar on his face, when he walks in, he says, "I am Sir Lothar. I'm steward of Lord Giovanni, and I am he who selected the 13 of you from the great masses to meet the Lord." He makes a gesture over to the one who's wearing the driving leathers and says, "This is Rodrigo. He's my coachman. His duty is to bring you to the Lord's mains tomorrow night." And he starts walking around and introducing himself. "Welcome to the Lord's holdings. I'm pleased that you have seen it fit to grace us with your company." He has this very snide, sarcastic way of speaking. He gets really close to people and he's like, "I hope your stay is agreeable and a memorable one." He's going to, in turn, take each of your hands in greeting. And as he's talking to each of you, he's going to be caressing your hand, holding it a little bit too long. It's probably very uncomfortable. He might even lift your hand to his nose and smell it.
Ugh.
That's weird.
It's good that you've all assembled, though. Our Lord is eagerly anticipating the joy of serving you tomorrow. And he just has this very uncomfortable grin on his face when he says that. I have a question. What would the three of you do if this high-ranking, high-stationed nobleman, while talking to you in a very uncomfortable, prolonged way, decided that he was going to lift your hand to his face and lick it?
That would be 12 shillings.
Nice. Would you say that to him if he did that?
I would.
Okay.
In a very vain attempt to hide my utter disgust. I pull out a handkerchief and completely wipe my hand clean.
Yeah, Lothar is actually going to laugh when you say that, and he will hand you 12 shillings. So...
well...
But yes.
Desmond just under his breath goes, "Should have asked for more."
But no, he will smell each of you. He will lick your palms.
Desmond, very evidently uncomfortable and weirded out, and would likely even want to hit this guy just for being so weird, but he knows his place and he's not going to ruin what he's here for.
Where's Father Clement? He'd get a kick out of this.
Yeah, he walked out before all this happened. So, Lothar is going to start gathering the groups. There's, as he said, there's 13 of you who are expected at this dinner tomorrow, and I'm sure you, during this time that you've been able to sit, eat your stew, communicate with those around you, you've realized that the majority of the people in this inn are for that purpose. There's going to be a portion of this evening where he has taken several of the individuals aside at any given point. But while he's talking to everybody, I do need everyone to go ahead and throw a an intelligence and insight check.
2 successes.
4 successes.
Wow. Okay.
3 successes.
Okay. So the two gentlemen here are going to remember seeing Lothar around the town that you were in when you received your information. He had been given a wide berth of space as he walked through town and went into different shops and spoke with various people around town. But you two remember definitely seeing him. Djinn, your character, on the other hand, you don't only remember seeing him, but you also remember hearing other people come up to you at some point saying that that strange man with the scar on his face was asking about you specifically.
Okay.
Get it, girl.
Nice. As he's talking to all of the other people in turn, his 2 pikemen stand by the door. They do not interact with anyone. They do not move. They might as well just be human statues. Rodrigo, who he has introduced as his coachman, on the other hand, he stays separate. He gets a drink, he finds a chair, he sits down, and he tries not to cause any commotion while he's there.
Nice.
So what are the 3 of you up to as Lothar is speaking to everyone in turn?
I think I'm looking for potential escape routes. Seeing the guards at the door isn't filling her with confidence, and recognizing this man and who's been asking about her is just the nerves are there, definitely. She's on high alert.
Well, you would have known that there was plenty of woods that you had to travel through, and running through the Romanian wilderness is probably not the safest thing for you to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a last resort, I guess.
Were the 3 of us the only ones he actually licked our hand, or did he do that to everyone?
No, he seems to have done that to several people. You're not the only ones, but everybody is trying their best not to insult him with how rude he's being.
Yeah. Desmond's probably, like, for the first time of the night, getting out of his own head, and is kind of looking around the room to just see what the general, I guess, what everybody else is kind of feeling. He's not really sure how to respond, so he's just kind of looking about everyone else to see how they're behaving.
There are a couple of groups who have decided that they're going to, while Lothar is out of earshot, they're talking to each other. There are some people who are just trying to see how much they can drink to not remember this introduction. But everybody seems to just be existing in the moment. They might not be comfortable, and it's kind of obvious that some of them are uncomfortable. And the only people who are trying their hardest to look comfortable are the people who are directly in, like, Lothar's presence.
Okay. The table of women that were kind of, in my mind, I was imagining were kind of off to my left.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it evident that they are all looking uncomfortable and maybe maybe helpless? Like, I don't want to like say that necessarily helpless, but like uncertain of what to do for their own safety.
I mean, I not to be 100% rude about this, but I think all women in the Dark Ages kind of felt like they didn't know what to do to keep their lives safe.
Yeah.
But especially
sat with this gentleman that I say gentleman,
Gustavo.
wretch.
Gustavo. Anyway, actually, Gustavo has taken it upon himself to kind of table hop every time Lothar goes somewhere else. He is actively avoiding being around him.
Okay, so we have some respite from him then. That's fine.
Yeah, he's not at your table at the moment, no.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're probably all huddled together a little bit.
If Desmond takes note of that, like the ladies huddling kind of close together, whispering to themselves, he would try to lock eyes with one of them and just give them like an assuring nod.
Okay.
Yeah.
Djinn, I'm sorry, what is your character's name again?
Aisha.
Aisha? How do you spell that?
Aishe.
Aisha. Okay. Actually, let's just go ahead and do everybody's. I know I've got Desmond written down. What's your character's name again, Fang?
Andros.
Andros?
Andras.
Andros. Okay. Cool. Just make sure I have that written down so I don't forget it later. So, how would Aisha take it if Desmond looked over towards the table and was trying to give a reassuring nod?
I think she'd give you a warm smile. You seem to be a beacon of common sense, and also I guess just niceness. Yeah, she definitely feels like comforted by seeing that.
Okay. Yeah, he would just kind of return a very subtle. Subtle is not really his style. He would return a smile off the corner of his mouth when he would nod to you, and then his eyes would he would, I think, over the course of them moving around the room, he would find himself maybe somewhere with his back to the women and to the group of women, and the kind of where he can watch the rest of these creeps, and just staying kind of on alert, trying to stay in the moment and not lost in thought.
Okay. Aisha would also, or Isha. Is it Aisha or Isha?
Sorry, Aisha.
Aisha. Okay. I'm gonna phonetically spell this for right now. Aisha is going to notice that old woman in the corner who's just avoiding being noticed by most people is keeping an eye on everything that's going on since Lothar got here.
Okay. I think seeing that Desmond is kind of standing guard almost, Aisha's gonna get up and she's gonna approach the older lady and like curtsy to her and just say, "Excuse me, can I get you a drink, or would you like to join us?"
She and when you get up close to her, you notice that she is a very elderly woman. She is. Let's see. She looks up at you and smiles, and she she just kind of has this warmth about her when she looks up at you. Her eyes look so much younger than her face gives her credit for, and she just says, "Oh no, thank you. Sigmund allows me to stay here. If I stay out of trouble, he gives me a nice place to sleep." But she will reach up and she will offer you a freshly picked flower.
Yeah, she'll take it and thank her. What do you mean stay out of trouble? Are you a troublemaker?
Well, she looks down at the cup that she has on the table next to her, which you'll see is filled with a few coins, and she goes, "As long as I don't beg here, I'm allowed to stay. So I'm just trying to stay out of the way."
Okay. I think she'll look back at, is it Lothar, you said?
Mm-hmm. Lothar?
Yeah, she'll look back at him and just kind of like get a little closer to her, maybe like kneel down next to her and just say, forgive me for saying, my lady, but you don't seem to like him.
She looks over to him and her face kind of sours, and she leans into you, or leans towards you and says, "I wouldn't give that saddle goose the time of day." And that is apparently a very popular medieval insult, which basically just means an insignificant fool.
Okay.
You're throwing shade.
I feel that's almost like a curse word. Like she'd be shocked at hearing that come out of her mouth.
Yeah. Especially when you're talking about a woman who looks like she's of incredibly poor status, talking about somebody who is as richly attired as he is.
Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, she looks quite taken aback, but she says, so this is what he was saying when he said that you're a troublemaker. You say rude things about rich people, is that true?
I just don't like him.
That's fair enough. Well, if you need anything, please let us know. And she'll put the flower in her hair, and like rest her hand on her shoulder.
Oh,
and
you'll
give her
get a smile back from her.
And yeah, she'll go and rejoin the ladies. But as she's walking past you, Desmond, she does whisper thank you to you.
You just kind of see out the corner of your eye. He just kind of drops his head in a nod. And his hand kind of rests on his hilt of his sword.
As Aisha is walking back to her table, Sigmund, the innkeeper who's filling up drinks, he's going to meet you in between your table and after you've passed by Desmond. So, like, as soon as you turn around from saying thank you to Desmond, there's this large wall of a man who's who's right next to you, and he just, like, in a hushed voice, looking over to Lothar, he's like, that old woman isn't asking you for money, is she?
No, I went over to her. I was just saying hello and being polite.
As you're talking, he walks away, and he's just like, "I'll have every beggar and refugee from here to Palestine on my head." And he just goes back behind the counter, and that's just you can hear him like mumbling stuff from the back. He's just in a constant state of bitching as he's.
Maybe he needs to drink.
As for Desmond, as you sit down, when you sat down at that table, Paul, that young soldier, he would have tried to have make his way back over towards you. And
okay.
Sir, do you think that you might put in a good word for me with Lord Giovanni?
He kind of sighs. What's more important to you, boy? Serving some lord stuck in a tower. And he looks down at his leg. or maybe having a chance at being able to get around in a way that doesn't wear out my good spear.
There's a look of realization on his face as he's like he didn't realize that those were separate things.
Mm.
I I just want to be able to serve for myself. I need to be able to take care of myself.
Well then, I'll make no promises. But I think with the right amount of time, measurements, and a hot forge, I might be able to draw up something that will assist you with getting around. But you'd have to come back with me, and I would give you fair wage, like all of my other apprentices, and I would give you work that you could do sitting down until such a time as that I could help your leg, help you move around better.
His eyes light up. He did not realize that you were offering him a job of any kind.
You're awfully old for an apprentice, so don't expect an inheritance of the profession. But if you'll work, you'll listen, and you'll trust me, I'll do right by you.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you.
Find the boys over. He kind of looks up to the table with the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Go sit with them. Go sit with the boys. And he pulls him. He grabs him by the collar and pulls him in close, and just whispers in his ear, "Keep your spear at the ready." Now go.
Yes, sir. And everybody will see this poor young crippled soldier as he fights his way up to his feet and then goes over and sits with the apprentices on the other side of the bar. So,
I'm gonna converse with Lothar.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to ask him.
He's going back for 12 more shillings.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep my hands behind my back so he doesn't just grab them instinctively. Fucking weirdo. But I'm gonna press him on the manor and Giovanni. So, Mr. Lothar, can you tell me more about Giovanni and this manor and what we will be expecting?
When you're talking to him, do you wait for him to finish whatever he's doing, or do you go up and start talking while he's talking to someone else?
I kind of wait in the wings so I don't interrupt a conversation, but as soon as he finishes and he seems to be moving along, I will interject.
He looks.
I'll offer him a flagon as well.
He looks at you. He's already got a drink at this point. Like by the time he started moving around, Sigmund made sure that he had anything that he needed for comfort. But he turns around, looks you up and down, and he's like, "What do you want to know?"
Everything and anything. What's it like up there? How is Giovanni? What is he like? What is the purpose of us meeting him exactly? I want to know it all. If you're willing to tell.
He gets this look on his face like he's just tasted something bad, and he leans in close to you and kind of whispers, but loud enough for everybody to hear. Are you questioning the wisdom of your betters?
No, I am asking for information. Is that wrong?
He kind of growls like a dog at you. He's like, Even members of lower orders, and he just kind of gives you a dirty look, may find favor with the Lord at his mains. You should just be happy that you've received an invitation.
Oh, but I am quite exuberant about the fact. I was just merely curious. Forgive my transgressions. Would you care for another lick as recompense? I hold my hand out to him.
He 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 actually slaps the hand out of his way and then moves on to talk to somebody else.
I guess I don't taste good anymore. Shame. Then I go to the hearth and take a seat and enjoy my flagon and revel in the fact that I disgusted the creepiest man in the room.
As as you go to find your seat, there is going to be the slight creaking of the door opening, and then an instant shout of "Evil! Evil incarnate!" And then,
Oh no.
Lothar is but a toady to the boot lick of the devil, Claudius Giovanni.
Wrong.
And
He licked hands, not boots.
Brother Clement runs back in, and he looks like he's about to just start beating down on Lothar with his cane, but those two men by the door are going to grab him by his robes and just start punching him into the stomach until he can't move anymore.
Oh, wait, let him cook.
And Lothar just stares back at him and scowls, and he's like, just get out. Just get that goddamn man of God out of here. And the two men are going to end up carrying him out of the inn. Everything seems to be tense for a second, but then Lothar is going to start a very practiced fake laughter, and all of the other nobles are going to start laughing along. So is Sigmund. So are his servants, but everybody else just seems uncomfortable that they just watched a man of God get basically beaten up and dragged outside. How do you all take that?
Pretty much the same. Just hiding a little behind Desmond's large frame, I guess.
I go to Sigismund. Is that father going to be all right?
He doesn't look up at you at all. He's wiping down the bar, and he says, I'm sure Brother Clement will be fine. A night sleeping with the pigs will do him well.
Very well indeed. Does Lothar do this often?
We aren't often graced with his presence, and you can tell the word grace is just kind of forced.
How many times has he licked your hand?
He stops wiping down the counter and just kind of shudders, and then looks up at you, and he's like, luckily never.
If he ever offers to, offer him the hand that you used to wipe. Then I go back to the hearth.
At this point, Lothar is going to turn around and raise a toast to everyone. He says, I drink to you all, some of the finest specimens I have ever had the pleasure to find. To your good, robust health. He drains his glass. Be ready for the coach tomorrow afternoon. Rodrigo will transport you. If you need anything, inform him. And without another word, Lothar leaves the building, along with a very high pressure. Everybody that he has spoken to just kind of breathes out just a sigh of relief that he's gone. And leaves you all alone.
Anyone who has had their hand licked by that creature, come to the hearth. I will cleanse it with this holy water.
There's going to be some laughing. A couple of the more poor individuals are going to get up and quickly move over towards the hearth. But
I'll pull out a little wineskin of water and just pour it over everyone's hands.
yeah, they're happy about that. The Rodrigo who is still here, he's sitting off on his own. He kind of laughs at the display that's happening over by the hearth. Sigmund is keeping an eye on the old woman very
Rodrigo,
closely while this is happening.
I can only imagine how many licks he's had of your hands.
He holds up both of his hands and kind of like shows you the palms and then shows you the back of his hands, and that he's wearing riding gloves.
Oh, you use protection. Smart man.
While all this is going on, the rich people, the rich members of the group are going to start heading to their various rooms. Over the next few minutes, and after you've washed the people's hands from what's happening, I'm just going to go ahead and say that the three of you, one of Sigmund's servers, and the old woman are the only ones left in the late hours of the inn.
Yep, I'm just enjoying the hearth's fire warmth. Much traveling, so need to heat up these bones. Where are we sleeping, by the way?
This inn is fairly large. The way that it's set out, and I'm being realistic when it comes to the time period in the inn, is that you rent bed space. So you all have bed space that has been rented out for you. It's actually quite nice that there's only 3 people to a bed. So, obviously things are going to be split up by class and by gender. So there is a room set aside that has 2 beds that all of the women are sleeping in. And then there are a couple of rooms that are set aside by class where people are split up. But even the noblemen have to share at least one other person with their bed.
Nice. All right. How much for a bed just for myself?
How much for a bed? Are you going up to Sigmund and asking if you can rent a bed?
How much for a bed just for me? I move around a lot.
Sigmund kind of looks at you a little awkwardly. As well off as we are due to the travelers who go and see Lord Giovanni, we don't have any more available rooms.
Oh, that's a shame. Very well.
We could we could lay out a bench for you down here tonight if you wish. But and he looks over towards the old woman. You will be sharing room with the beggar.
Well, sometimes to broaden one's horizons, it is necessary to put yourself amongst those of the lowliest places.
He just nods as if he understands what you're talking about.
Yes, I'll take the bench.
All right, he directs one of the girls who's cleaning up the plates and picking up the mugs to go over by the hearth, and she pulls out with quite a bit of a struggle, pulls out a big heavy wooden bench which is sitting by one of the tables, and she makes sure that there's a healthy amount of straw strewn on it.
Nice. Very well. I'll kind of, get myself settled in and just start relaxing.
All right. What about Aisha?
I think as you're getting kind of settled, she'll just say, "You have quite the way with words."
Oh, thank you. I try my best. You never know what you will hear in travels, what you may want to say. I find many people have a hard time expressing themselves, so I made it a point to learn as much vocabulary as I could.
She nods and smiles. She seems to admire that quality about you. Where have you traveled, if you don't mind me asking?
All over. I've traveled through Transylvania, the Eastern lands, some places, Rome. It has been a fortunate trip of mine, and getting the honor to be invited to the Giovanni Mansion has been something I've been pining for a while, as they are a wealthy merchant family, and I wish to potentially make some connections with them, so that I may travel even farther.
Oh, so you're looking to trade?
Well, in a sense, yes. I'm looking to make business connections.
Okay. How is it that you can travel freely without having to work for anybody? How did you come across this job, this work?
Well, my family is tied to another family of great noble lineage and wealth, so I must admit that I am offered this opportunity due to familial ties. What's the word? Privilege, you could say.
She nods and looks a little disappointed at your answer, but she just says, "You and your family are very blessed."
Yes, I'm sorry that I could not give you something more fantastical as an answer. But I would have to say I did give up the noble's life to become a traveling merchant, which is a risk all on its own.
Yes, I suppose it is quite dangerous. Are you not comfortable where you were before?
Physically, yes, but mentally, I was stifled. I wanted to know more. I wanted to experience the mysteries of the world. Know truths beyond truths. And I could not do that sitting, in a castle, reading religious texts and being milled about social situations such as this one. Well, not this one, but, like the one that Lothar brought to us.
Right. That is admirable of you to leave that way of life.
Yes, but of course I could not part with some of my creature comforts. I do enjoy the smell of incense.
I can tell. I can smell it from the other side of the room.
Oh, it is that strong. I apologize. I do not wish to stifle the room with my magnificent scent, but, it is better than smelling pig shit and piss.
Absolutely. I'm making no complaints, I can assure you.
Good. I'm glad you were at least enjoying of the company.
Did you say that Desmond's still here as well?
When Andrus says something about smelling pig shit and piss, Desmond goes, "All right," just like jokingly, kind of, "All right."
It's really great as he's saying this because he's probably like moving around the straw on a bench because he's chosen to sleep down here instead of up in a room.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think Desmond has probably Desmond has worked long hours most of his life. He is no stranger to sleeping in a chair, as he would do that quite a bit in his youth, having to watch the forge overnight and such. So he probably just pulls a chair up to a table and like up against like next to the wall somewhere, and just gets comfortable, crosses his arms, where he can kind of just watch the whole room, and tries to put himself somewhere that he'll be able to move to get to any part of the room quickly.
Okay.
And then he just lets his head fall down.
So as Aisha and Andros are having this conversation, Desmond's just falling asleep in the corner, basically.
No, not yet. But that's what he'll be doing whenever he does get tired.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. He would still be present in the conversation if there was conversation being had. I apologize.
Oh, you're good. So, go ahead.
I was just going to say, Aisha would look to Desmond and just say, you're very noble for guarding us. Thank you.
He just nods and just doing what's right. I'm certainly not a noble by any stretch, nor do I claim nobility to behave as one. Just what was happening wasn't. He kind of stops a minute, and you see him. He kind of fidgets under through his shirt with whatever hangs on the end of that chain.
It is one thing I knew from my travels is that there is a big difference between being a noble and being noble.
Thanks. It's very kind.
Oh, you're most welcome.
Men like that, they don't deserve the reverence they get.
Yep. People in power seldom do.
Still managed to make a woman uncomfortable like that.
Unfortunately, we all must play this game if we are to make our own way.
We're playing a game? He asks, genuinely confused, like he doesn't understand.
The game of life, my friend. The game of life. Some pieces just have more advantages than others. And so we make do with what we have.
He kind of looking up to, is it Aisha, right?
Aisha.
Aisha. I'll get it right eventually, I swear.
It's
Aisha.
okay, I'm terrible with names.
He just looks up and at her and kind of tries to lock eyes with her.
Yeah, she'll look at you.
Women don't deserve to be made to feel like that. It's ill-mannered of a man to treat a woman, to behave in a way that makes a woman feel that way.
Well, I've seen a lot of men like him. It's nothing new. But, do you think what the priest said is true? Tomorrow we will meet the devil?
I think we already met him. Lothar was quite the demon.
But the demons serve the devil.
Oh, that is true. I must admit, the meeting of him and his soldiers and the way he acted definitely did not make me feel all that confident in what is to come, but we are here, and we might as well see it through.